your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and damn, you're free. I look into your heart and you'll find love, 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 and love. Listen to the music of the moment, people dance and sing. We're just one big family, and it's our God-forsaken right to be loved. Love, 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 love. So I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm sure there's no need to complicate. Our time is short. This is our fate. I'm yours. Do you? But do you want to come on? I scooch on over closer, dear, and I will nibble your ear. Soon the boom boom boom. Spending way too long checking my tongue in the mirror and bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer, but my breath fogged up the glass, and so I drew a new face and I laughed. I guess what I'll be saying is there ain't no better reason to rid yourself of vanities and just go with the seasons. It's what we aim to do. Our name is our virtue, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. Open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and damn, you're free. I look into your heart and you'll find that the sky is yours. So please don't, please don't, please don't. There's no need to complicate, 'cause our time is short. This is our fate. I'm yours. I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights, when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. 'Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. Under the light.
Hello to everyone that's joined our very first ever virtual TOSC Trail Mixer. We're excited to have you on. My name is Beth Deloge, and I am the new Development Director at the Trails and Open Space Coalition. But I am not on this call all by myself. We have the entire TOSC staff here today, and I wanted to take a minute to introduce them in case you haven't met them before, or if you've just missed them a lot during this COVID crisis and want to see their smiling faces. So first, I wanted to introduce Cherie. Cherie is our office manager. She keeps us all in line. She manages every aspect of the office. She's also the one that puts together our amazing weekly e-newsletters. And something you may not know about Cherie, she is an avid outdoors woman that puts the rest of us to shame. She's also a huge dog lover, and she fosters dogs in her spare time. And if you come by the TOSC office, there's a good chance you might get to meet one of those foster dogs. So hi, Cherie. Next, we have Aaron. He's popping up. Aaron is responsible for providing assistance to all of our open space volunteer groups, otherwise known as our friends groups. So if you're interested in a volunteer opportunity for yourself or for your business, he is your go-to guy, and he likes to wear fancy hats. He also is starting a new Trail Ambassador program pretty soon, and I'm sure you'll get to hear more about that in the near future. And if that's not enough, he also oversees all of our large events like the Starlight Spectacular that we've done in the past. And he's usually the friendly and comedic voice that you hear behind our Facebook social media posts. Next, we've got Mike. Mike is our wonderful, amazing Ring the Peak project manager. He works tirelessly with all sorts of different partner organizations and municipalities to bring that project to life. And we will be getting updates on that in the next few months. So stay tuned because some exciting things happening. He is also our GIS specialist. Any maps that you see that TOSC creates, he is your guy, as illustrated behind him. He's amazing. He's kind of our in-house genius. And he recently became a beekeeper. So if you're into bees and are interested in hearing bee stories, as we all are, he is your guy. We also have Alan. You've probably seen Alan flying around town on his bike. Alan's passion is our urban trail network. He loves it. He's recently been working on a pretty long-term project in the Southeast to connect its residents and engage them more deeply with their parks and their urban trails down in that area. Alan has never met a stranger, as many of you know, and he absolutely loves giving bike tours. So if you see him out on the trails, give him a wave, and I'm sure he'll stop and have a chat with you. And last but not least, I'm sure many of you already know our fearless leader, Susan. Susan has served as TOSC's executive director for over a decade. Her passion for the trails, for the parks, for our open spaces, and the environment in general is rivaled by none, and you will get to hear a lot more from her in a little bit. All of us just want to take a minute to thank you for being members. We want to give a special thank you to our Summit Society members, many of whom are on the call today. A lot of you know that we do not receive any financial assistance from our government. So we rely very heavily on generous donations from you all, and you make our work possible. So we wanted to make sure that you understand how much we appreciate you, and thank you so much. So there's our staff. We love everybody. We'll probably see more from them all in a little bit. While they're all signing off, a few quick pieces of housekeeping. Want to let you know that you all participants are muted. So you can talk back to us and we cannot hear you right now. We also have your videos off, so you can rock your bad hair day, whatever you need. We won't see all the ugliness going on behind the scenes. You'll see our ugliness, but we won't see yours. At any point though, if you do have a question, there should be a Q&A feature. For a lot of you, it's probably at the bottom of your screen. It says Q&A. Type in any questions you have right there for anyone on our staff. Aaron's going to be checking on those, and he'll be getting back to you as quickly as he can, or he might tell you to hold on for a later Q&A session in the end. So if you want to talk with us, that's the way to go. We did turn off the chat feature. It got a little bit chaotic, so we turned that off. So the Q&A is the way to go if you want to tell us anything or ask us any questions. Throughout the day, we'll be having some poll questions too. So when you see those pop up, we encourage you to engage with us on those and have a little bit of fun. So today we wanted to take a little bit of time to learn about who is on this trail mixer with us. So we're going to start with a couple poll questions to get to know you a little bit better. Sure, you want to pull up our first one? So we want to know where our members today are coming from. If you know your district, go ahead and click on the answer, and we're just going to be watching you all kind of put your answers in. You can see there's several different options there. All right, got a lot of D3 coming in. Manitou, all right, you're in the house too, good. Black Forest. Got a little bit of everybody. All right, awesome guys, thank you. Got a lot of people from District 3 in today. Glad to have all of you here. Glad to see a representation from a little bit of everywhere. One thing we're doing at TOSC is we are trying to get some membership that is represented from all over our area. So we like to see it spreading out a little bit. All right, Shri, let's pull up our next question. All right, now we're kind of curious. Do we have some new members on with us? Do we have seasoned members? How long have you been a member with TOSC? Oh, our long-term members are definitely showing up today. And we've got a couple new members. Welcome. We're so glad to have you today. That's awesome. So we've got a couple 1 year, 2 year, a couple 3 year, lots of veterans. Awesome. That's awesome. So glad to have all of you guys here. So we did want to speak for a little bit about, off those, why we're hosting these trail mixers. Sheree and I had done some speaking, and we did decide that we wanted to host some trail mixers throughout the year. Even before COVID, we wanted to be doing this. We think it's really important to be hearing from our members and to be able to update you guys regularly on all the things we're working on. It doesn't all fit in a nice little annual report at the end of the year. And we can't even all get it in on our member party that we host for you all. So we wanted to host a few of these to connect with you. Ideally, we want to do them in person so we could see everybody, but COVID had other plans for us. So we're pivoting and we're doing them virtually. This is, like I said, our first one. So you're gonna have to bear with us and be patient as we go through the glitches. But we do intend just to be laid back, have a little bit of fun with you guys. So throughout, let us know how we're doing. We will be having more of these, whether they're virtual in person, we don't know, but we will be covering different topics on each one. Like I said, there's so much to cover, we can't cover it all, so we're just gonna be biting them off in chunks. So at any point, if there's a topic we don't talk about or that you wanna hear more about, let us know, and we'll consider putting it in our next trail mixer. But in the meantime, we hope you'll lean in and you'll engage with us and learn a little bit more about what's going on at TOSC. So let's start first with a quick update on what's going on with TOSC. We have a lot going on, and we're gonna just go ahead and cover a few things. I'm sure Susan could talk for days, quite literally, about everything that we're doing, but she's just gonna cover a couple of our favorite projects that we're working on. And Susan, I'm gonna hand the floor over to you, go for it.
Thank you, Beth. It's great to be hearing you. It's great to be with members. We wish we could see all your faces, and we can't wait until we do again, whether it's going to be a member hike, and those will return, a member bike ride, or when we have our member mixer that we do. You know, we're gonna have to do things a little differently, but we are so looking forward to reconnecting with you, hearing about your concerns, the things that matter to you, and sharing some of the excitement. So there's no doubt about it. Just a little over 3 months ago, everything changed. Where we go or don't go, what we do, or who we do it with. What hasn't changed is our love of the outdoors. If anything, this pandemic has rekindled affection for our trails, parks, and open spaces. It's also likely introduced a good number of people to resources they may not have visited in the past. With theaters, gyms, and entertainment venues all closed, people have sought out other ways to pass the time. We have never, ever needed our outdoor resources as much as we need them right now. We may never have appreciated them as much, and never have they been more crowded than they are right now. And I know a lot of you have experienced that because you've told us, and we thank you for that. This is a recent weekend day in North Cheyenne Canyon. Those who parked illegally were ticketed. There was a familiar scene in Red Rock open space, paint mines, Palmer Park. A lot of the places we love to frequent have been very busy with folks out doing what they should be doing, but making for pretty crowded conditions in lots of places. All of this makes us that much more committed to projects like our Ring the Peak Trail project. Now, one day it's going to be possible for you to hike, run, or bicycle or horseback ride and enjoy 360-degree perspective of our magnificent peak. The plan is finished, the partners are on board, and the process, slowed by the pandemic, is still moving forward with the gold mine, U.S. Forest Service, and partners in Victor and as well in Cripple Creek. You know, last fall we asked you to forego a small Tabor refund for $7 million in great parks, trails, and open space projects. Overwhelmingly, you said yes. The result? We now have $2 million to begin work improving downtown parks desperately in need of a makeover. The results are going to be tremendous, thanks to 2B. In a few minutes, Emily with Colorado Springs Parks is going to share some of the trail projects that are being accomplished, and in some cases, even under budget. It's all very exciting. Boulder and Thorndale Parks will soon cut the chains that closed off unsafe sports courts, and neighbors will be allowed to play on these surfaces for the first time in years. And in beloved Monument Valley Park, a failing irrigation system will be partially replaced, a pond restored, and the pickleball courts now have lights to accommodate one of the fastest growing sports in our region. Look at those lights, they're fantastic. And the other day when they were dedicated, I have to tell you, there were scores of people on the courts and scores more waiting along the sidelines to get onto those courts. Those lights are going to be a tremendous help. When the virus arrived here, our first priority was to encourage community leaders to keep our parks, trails, and open spaces open to the public. We made phone calls. We wrote letters to the editor. We secured a promise that they would be kept as long open as it was safe to do so. Now, that did not happen in other parts of the country. We are so grateful that it happened here. Then we developed a tool to be part of the solution. Get Out, Spread Out was born. I encourage my staff, get out and go hiking, go walking, take a bike ride, go to your favorite out-of-the-way places and share your pictures, stories, and experiences with others. We now have over 110 Get Out, Spread Out videos on our website and hope that you are checking them out. And we are making more as the summer progresses. Every corner of the county now offers residents a safe choice to get out and spread out. Take a look at this map. It shows all our Get Out and Spread Out videos. Biking, hiking, walking, it's pretty impressive. And we hope you will take the time and check them all out. Again, thank you for being members, for being trail users, and for supporting our advocacy as well as our initiatives. We couldn't do any of this without you. Thank you. Beth?
Thanks, Susan. That was an awesome update. We appreciate it. So when I told Susan to give a quick 10-minute update, she looked at me like I had 12 heads. She said, we have a lot more to cover than just 10 minutes worth. So we just wanted to highlight a few things, but I do assure you the entire staff is going to stay on this call when we're all done. And if you have any questions about any projects that we're working on that Susan didn't talk about, or if you have more in-depth questions, stay on after and talk to us about it. That's what we're here for today. So thank you, Susan, for the update. I think you summed up some of our favorite projects that we're going on right now. So I do want to move on to Emily in a minute, but before I do, we had a quick poll question for you guys about your use of urban trails. Sri, can you pull up that poll question for us? So we want to hear from you. What's your favorite urban trail to be active on? Cottonwood, yep, that's a popular one. Beautiful, I'll keep it open for a few more minutes. It looks like we've got people loving Cottonwood, Midland, Pikes Peak Greenway, Shook's Run. All right, Pikes Peak Greenway seems to be the favorite. All right, awesome. Thanks, Cherie. Thanks for responding, everyone. Pikes Peak Greenway seems to be the favorite. That's great for us to know. We love hearing that. We have one more question about our urban trails for you, if you wouldn't mind pulling that one up. We have a question about trail safety that we want pulled up next. There we go. You guys are answering. Glad to see so many of you are feeling safe on our urban trails. Mostly, but not all of them. Let us know. Let us know which ones you're not feeling comfortable with in the Q&A. Shoot us some comments on that, on which ones you would like a little bit more attention on. We'd love to hear from you on that. All right, great. Good information from all of you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Well, we do want to keep things rolling, so we want to bring on our next presenter, Emily Duncan. We're very fortunate to have her with us today. Emily Duncan is a Trails Development Coordinator with the City of Colorado Springs Parks and Recreation and Cultural Services Department. A few weeks ago, we had her come on to one of our staff Zoom meetings to give some updates on trail improvements and trail connectivity, and we were so blown away with everything going on. We asked her to join you all today to talk a little bit about that because we thought it was information that you would all find very, very interesting. So Emily, thank you for taking time out of your really, really busy day and schedule to come chat with us today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thanks, Beth. So my name's Emily Duncan. Beth covered that. I've been with Colorado Springs Parks and Recreation for a little over a year as the Trail Development Coordinator. So I've got some really exciting projects that I've been thankful to be a part of. And I just wanted to give you all some of the exciting news of updates for some of these projects. Thankfully, we've been able to continue on with a lot of our projects because of the secured funding, thanks to the support of the 2B Tabor retention as well. So I'll touch on those projects as well. For right now, what you should be seeing on your screen is a map of what is at this point referred to as the Northern Incline Trail. So the purpose of this trail is to provide connectivity from the base of the incline to a midway tie-in at about 1300. So if you're familiar with the incline, the bar bailout trail or return trail is at step 1800. So this provides another connection point to and from the incline at step 1300. So a little ways down from there. And this project was financially supported by the Incline Friends. So thankful to that group for their support and being able to move this project forward, which will be, I think, widely used and enjoyed once we have the incline open. Anyway, this a little bit about this trail. It's a 36 to 40 inch wide trail, multi-use. Again, that the purpose of it is mostly incline use. You know, we want to make sure that people are aware of the difficulty of the incline, and if this trail can kind of provide, you know, a taste of the incline, but also an enjoyable trail on the way down for those who choose to get off the incline at 1300, that this will be a good option for them. So at the moment we have Timberline Trailcraft constructing the trail, where you're seeing a red star is about where they are at. They started at Ute Pass, which is the yellow trail that you should be seeing. So they're working their way in towards the incline connection there. So there, I would roughly say about 60% of the trail initially cut is in place. And we've been able to get out there and enjoy some of the more completed aspects of that trail. Alan, could you go to the next slide, please? So this is a little picture of the progress so far. As you can see, it's in a wonderful area. I don't have a picture here that does the trail view justice of all you can see. You can see down to Garden of the Gods and all of Manitou from this trail. So I think it'll be enjoyable as well. And I'm looking forward to it being open. So for the trail project, we're looking at this point, of course, weather dependent, that this could be complete with in the month of July, probably more towards the end. They're doing the initial cut into the incline and then hand finishing and creating proper drainage on their way out. And again, that'll connect to Ute Pass, which will then be used as the route to the base of the incline. Alan, could you switch to the next photo, please? Thanks. And here's just kind of a picture, that's Bill Beagle there, he's joining us right now, of what that trail bench looks like. So it's at relatively steady 8%, up to 8%, with short bursts up to 12% of slope. So it's actually a lot, in my opinion, a lot more enjoyable than the incline itself. But I'm really excited for this to be complete. But again, we're probably looking at a mid to end July completion at this point. A couple other things that have been involved with this project is not far from the alignment, we have a hefty homeless camp, and actually today and yesterday, the Parks Department, that's the TOPS crew, as well as regional parks, and actually a group from Fort Carson are helping us remove that. So that's been a huge help and definitely moving this trail project forward. Additionally, we'll have the Incline Friends have been very helpful throughout this whole process, but they'll also be constructing a short connection lower on the incline to about the step 395 area that will also be used as a return trail for those who just want a taste of the incline. That's a really strenuous activity. So, you know, if we can prevent rescues from the incline by having these additional return trails, I think that that would be wonderful. I also want to touch on the 2B projects, which thankful to TOSC for supporting the Tabor Retention 2B initiative that allowed us to complete. At this point, we're still in the works of those projects, but allows us to move forward with trail projects at a time where that other city groups are not able to kind of push some of those projects through. So we're thankful for that opportunity. What you're seeing here is on the Legacy Loop. This is the Shooks Run section of Legacy Loop. And this is actually in the works right now. If any of you have been by this area, it's under construction. But this is a project that was a portion of trail that was asphalt, kind of crumbling. It was 8 feet wide at most spots. And it was by a playground that, you know, was underwhelming, I would say. So this area has seen huge improvements, and in part to that 2B retention funding. So recently, if you're aware, that playground was renovated separate from this project, but this kind of will create, I think, a more enjoyable corridor through that whole area. So right now we have Avery Asphalt working in this area, widening that asphalt trail, removing the asphalt trail and widening it to a 10-foot wide concrete path with a 2-foot running shoulder. Running shoulder, by that I mean a little gravel shoulder for people who enjoy running, and it's a little easier on the knees. So this is kind of an in-progress photo right here where you can see, obviously still underway, but completing an area with concrete. From that area in front of Good Neighbors, so that's Corona and Columbia intersection, down to Uinta actually. So it's 2 segments of trail that we're working on now. And that includes some improvements to pedestrian ramps as well through that area. At this point, we're looking at a completion in July, weather dependent. Mid to late July is probably safe at this point to say. So we're really looking for this improvement. Alan, could you go to the next slide, please? All right, and another opportunity that we are thankful to have, I think just back one if you could, Alan, thanks, are improvements to the Palmer Mesa Trail. This one, the bid has gone out and we have a contractor for the project. We are awaiting a start date and availability from them. For Palmer Mesa, this is another to-be supported project. We are looking at actually 2 locations. This first one that you should be seeing on your screen, if you're familiar with the Blair Bridge open space, that parking spot that's a little to the north of the red line here, we're starting off at that point where the Palmer Mesa splits off from the Foothills Trail, and we're doing about 1,200 feet of new trail through there where there is asphalt currently. So we'll be widening that to a 10-foot concrete trail. If you can see in the next photo, Alan, could you switch the slide, please? Thank you. So this is kind of the current state of that trail. We have a lot of linear cracking and crumbling asphalt. So this will be removed for that stretch to Mesa and 30th, where it turns to gravel. We will be removing this and replacing with that 10-foot wide concrete trail and improving this section. If you could go to the next slide, please, Alan. Thank you. And we'll also be improving this section of Palmer Mesa. It's outside of the Camelback Villa condominiums, a little further up Mesa Road. And this is an area where the trail itself at this moment is in asphalt, but it also has a tripping hazard where we have a utilities box. So we'll be starting off kind of where the last project finished, right? As you can see at the south section of that line, that's where the last concrete project completed. So we'll be just completing this short section to that driveway there, alleviating that trip hazard. All right, could you go to the next slide, please, Alan? Thank you. Another to-be project that we have kind of in the planning stages are improvements to Homestead Trail. Like I said, this is kind of in the works still, so we can put this out to bid. We have various opportunities here, obviously, and this section here is the section from Barnes Road to Bluestem Drive. This has some various drainage issues, but is also in kind of that crumbling asphalt that we hope to replace with a concrete trail. So this is just one of the options on Homestead. We're still looking at other opportunities for even new trail or solving some drainage issues in other sections. But this one is definitely one we'll be moving forward on. And we don't have a timeline for this yet, but it still has to go through procurement and obviously through the bid process, but we're looking at a summer completion for this. Alan, could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So this is the last project I wanted to touch on. Absolutely a huge and really important project that we've been able to accomplish recently oh, actually, sorry, Alan, I think this was the next slide, please. Thank you, awesome. This is the Cottonwood Creek Trail that was recently completed from Austin Bluffs and Woodman to on the other side, the east side of Powers. So what we have in place is a 12-foot wide concrete trail with running shoulders and various neighborhood connections. This trail segment is completely open. We just have the contractor doing a little bit more work with the erosion control. We have one more section where the yellow star is. They'll be creating a 5-foot wide sidewalk connection to Potomac Drive. So that'll still be constructed relatively soon here. But other than that, the connectivity from Austin Bluffs and Woodman to the other side of Powers is in place. We are still looking at other opportunities that we may have to further the trail east. We have some funding in various underpasses for Tut Boulevard and also Black Forest Road to allow for a future trail to be put in those underpasses. So otherwise, we're working with real estate services to look at options for going through some property with easements through that eastern area, and looking for more opportunities for the trail to be completed. We also, Stormwater has some improvements and CSU has some improvements in Cottonwood Creek itself, so that might provide additional opportunities for the trail. And I think that those were the projects that I wanted to touch on today. Obviously, if you have more questions, I'd love to take those at the end. Beth, I don't know if how we can coordinate that, but I'd love to answer some questions, and obviously,
yeah. So I saw.
I'm excited about about the trail project. So
we can tell. We can tell. And thank you so much, Emily, for taking time. We appreciate all that you do for us and taking time to share all this exciting information with us. I did see some questions popping up as you were talking, and I know Erin has been fielding those. So Erin, do you want to pull some of those out and go public with them?
Yeah, definitely. We got a few good questions from our members today. All right, so Emily, the first question that came up was, you talked a little bit about Shook's Run Trail and the improvements there. Do you have any other updates about the Legacy Loop?
Right, so the Legacy Loop is obviously huge and central to our town. So any project there is really exciting for everyone, especially since I saw from the poll that Pikes Peak Greenway is one of the most favorite urban trails. So we also, love that area. So what we have coming up, we have various stages of design for, I think the biggest one people are interested in is the segment of Rock Island Trail to the north of Legacy Loop from Popsicle Bridge to Templeton Gap or to Shook's Run. And we have that in design, and we're looking for opportunities. We're waiting on some grant funding for that construction, but we're probably looking at a 2021 to 2022 construction of that segment. We also are looking in that same grant opportunity for a pedestrian bridge at Mesa Spring. So that's on Pikes Peak Greenway, where currently, actually at about Recreation Way, the trail kind of stops and then you're rerouted onto gravel trail to Uinta. So we're looking at an opportunity there to complete that in kind of that same time frame. Additionally, to the south on Shook's Run, we're looking into opportunities for property easements to complete a section through what we're deeming Campers Village. It's an old KOAA site, I believe, or KOA site. So we're looking at opportunities there for kind of a connection of Shook's Run to the Pikes Peak Greenway.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear more.
Kind of heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Let's see, we have another question too. Recently, the Austin Bluffs Master Plan had been approved, and one of our members is asking when we can plan to start seeing work done on new Austin Bluffs open space trails.
So I'm kind of involved in that just on the fringe, so I don't know if I can give an actual start date. That obviously still has to go through the bid process. So I'm not sure. That generally takes a little time, and they obviously, apparently I think they also have some other projects involved with that. So I don't have a certain timeline for that one. I'd have to kind of ask the project manager more about when he's seeing that happen, but I think it's within this year.
Fantastic. All right, and another question that we have too is, what is the best guess of when the top part of the incline northern route will be completed?
So, great question. So right now we're working within City of Colorado Springs property. So the next segment that would go from that 1300 tie-in to the top of the incline, that actually goes through Forest Service. So that requires not only the trail planning and the bid or the contractor getting the contractor on board, but it also requires the NEPA process for that. So that I've been told from the Forest Service, obviously when their availability, it depends on their availability, but that process is probably about a 6-month process just for the NEPA process. So I think once this lower segment is complete, then we're going to be able to put more effort towards getting that initial trail corridor to give them, so then we can start that NEPA process. So timeline wise, that's a little tough because it has a lot of moving parts and different factors. But I would hope that we could probably get at least that process started in the next year or so.
Awesome, thanks. I think we have time for one more question, Erin.
All right, so the last question that we had come in was, in Colorado Springs, what is your favorite trail?
I don't know if I can answer this one without playing favoritism and getting fired. Personally, I just love, I love like riding to work. So I have a special place in my heart for like Sinton Trail and Douglas Creek, and Pikes Peak Greenway is all so great for coming from my place, which is kind of near Ute Valley. I love just being able to ride to kind of the central area of Colorado Springs. So any of the trails I get to touch that way, I have a little special place in my heart, I guess I'd say.
And that's just kept between us. We won't tell anybody.
Okay, yeah.
Emily, thank you so much again for coming and joining us. I hope that you all enjoyed these updates as much as we had enjoyed them the other day. And I'm sure we'll be getting future updates from you again. So thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate TOSC and all the work that they're doing to support our project. So thank you for having me.
All right. Bye, Emily.
Bye. Thank you.
So everyone, we had a vet tech lined up to talk to you today about pet safety on the trails, because that's a question we hear a lot about, especially from some of our newer members or people that are new to hiking or new to the area. Unfortunately, we had their offices are a little inundated right now, and they're backed up, so they couldn't join us today. But Aaron is our internal go-to for anything related. I'm new to the area, and anytime I have any questions about any kind of safety on the trails, he's my personal go-to. So let's pull Aaron back up, and Aaron's going to give us some of the high-level pet safety questions and answers that he's had to deal with over the years. Did we lose you, Aaron? There he is. Oh, he moved.
All right, guys. So once again, my name's Aaron Rogers, and I'm the program coordinator for TOSC. And before I started working with TOSC, I had spent the better part of 5 years working as a park guide in North Cheyenne Canyon and in Bear Creek Park. So I have seen a lot of crazy things happen on our trails. When it comes to pets, I have just seen 90% of the time, it is great pet owners. And it doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cat or lizards or chickens I've seen on trails. Everybody does a great job. But there's a few times where I've seen people get into sticky situations. So for the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about how to keep yourself and your pets safe. And I'm also going to talk a little about rattlesnakes. So when it comes to staying safe with your pets, the number one thing you need to do is to plan ahead. You need to keep in mind that, planning ahead, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So when you go outside and enjoy our outdoors and open spaces, you need to first come up with just a plan. You need to talk about what the goals for your trip are. What expectations do you have? You need to identify what's the abilities and skills of the people in your group or of your pets. Can your pets handle long rides? Can they handle heat? Can they handle cold? Those are things that you need to answer. Plan your activities ahead of time. If you plan on doing a short hike, stick to that short hike. If you plan on doing a whole day's worth of backcountry hiking, then keep that in mind too. Also, when you're planning your adventure outdoors, keep in mind the rules and regulations that you'll come across. If you plan on going to a city park, keep in mind that you have to have your dog on a leash. And if you're going to a county park, keep in mind that there's some trails that do not have dogs. And then there's a lot of other trails out there where having a pet on the trail just doesn't make any sense because of safety concerns. When I worked in North Cheyenne Canyon on Silver Cascade Falls Trail, there was a few times that I saw dogs go out in a waterfall. You know, some people thought it was a trail, didn't do their homework beforehand, and then walked out into the middle of a giant granite slab that was super slippery. I've seen a couple rescues out there, and although it happens to people, we hope to not see it ever again. All right, so with more pet safety tips, keep in mind the temperature of your car. Really, keeping your pet in a car on a trailhead is never really that safe. The temperatures in your car can fluctuate quickly. Even on a 60-degree day, it can quickly be 100 degrees in your car. Also, there's the issues of people breaking into cars. And in a lot of our parking trailheads, if you leave your pet in there for any time, even if you're just using the bathroom, it is possible to have someone break into your car and take your pet. You know, another tip too is to always clean up after your pet. Pet waste is a major issue. 7 bridges. Sometimes the smell from the dog waste, you can smell it from easily a mile away on the hottest days of the summer. All that will wash into our water system, into our watershed, and become an issue down the line. So make sure to pick up your pets, and that will help stop the spread of disease. Another thing to keep in mind too is that not every person is comfortable being around dogs. So when you have your dog off leash in the national forest, or even on a leash in the city park, when your dog runs up to a person, that person may panic and there may be harm done to the person or your pet. So it's best to treat every person you see on the trails as if they're super afraid of dogs. So in the last couple minutes here, I want to talk a little about rattlesnakes and rattlesnake safety. So in Colorado Springs, we do have rattlesnakes. We do have western rattlesnakes, and we have some prairie rattlesnakes too. There are a few parks where you're almost guaranteed to have a chance to see a rattlesnake. Places like Austin Bluffs open space around Pulpit Rock, places like Ute Valley Park, or Bluestem open space. Those are the places where you're going to see rattlesnakes. And when you start hiking, anytime between April and October, just have a backup plan in the back of your head about what will I do if I see a snake, even if you're on a bike or walking your dog. So the first thing to listen for is that rattlesnake, the tail sound, the rattle. When rattlesnakes are scared, they will rattle their tail. When they feel provoked, they'll start getting to an S shape, kind of like in the picture of this slide. If you're close enough to hear the sound of the rattle, you want to stop your movement. You want to make sure that your kids are holding still or your pets are holding still, and you want to try to spot the rattlesnake. Once you've spotted it, or even if you don't, it is best to just end your hike and head the other way, or at least go in the opposite direction until the rattlesnake clears the area. Just like with COVID, we want to give our snakes some good social distance. They can strike up to half the length of their bodies. So it's good to give them a good 10 feet so to make sure they don't strike you. The rattlesnakes are active throughout the day. They wake up at the rays of the first sunlight in the morning, but they really don't hunt until the afternoon and early evening. So here in Colorado, especially in Colorado Springs, most rattlesnake bites take place between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. in the evening. Nationwide, anywhere between 8,000 and 10,000 people will get bitten. 1% will die. So even if you get bitten, it's not a time to panic. That is the first rule. You want to make sure you remain calm. Try to keep your blood pressure low. If you're hiking alone, it's a great time to call 911. Don't try to get out on your own because that will just make the issues worse. If your pet gets bitten too, you can call 911 as well, and they'll walk you through how to get out safely as well. You want to cover any rattlesnake wound and make sure you keep pressure. That will help keep you safe and buy you time to get to the emergency room. So right now in the Q&A section, if you have any questions about safety in parks or pet safety or rattlesnakes, go ahead and fire away and we'll answer a few of those.
And while those questions are coming in, Erin, we had a quick question that we wanted to ask everyone about how often they take their pets out on the trails. So if everyone would just take a minute and let us know, how often do you take your pets out there? couple of you don't have pets. You need to get with Cherie and find a foster dog. Some people every single day, 3 to 4 days a week. There's some people out there training their cats and hamsters. All right, guys. Funny group. I think that we have most of the answers in. All right, well, we have a lot of our friends that don't have pets. So you need to come borrow one of Cherie's foster dogs at the office if you want to take someone out. That's great. And good luck to the rest of you that are still trying to train your cat, hamster, and bird there. That's great. So Aaron, did you get any questions coming in during that time that you want to answer?
No, nothing came through.
So I had a question, and it was the question I asked you when I first moved here. And I was hiking in my open space in my neighborhood, and I saw up ahead what looked to be either a cat or a dog or a mountain lion, and I wasn't 100% sure what it was, and I certainly didn't know what to do. So that's another question we got at TOSC a lot is about mountain lions. Can you tell us if we have mountain lions, and are they out? What's going on?
You know, right now with mountain lions and bears for that matter, they are definitely out, and they're in pretty interesting urban places right now. Down in North Cheyenne Canyon, there is a family of mountain lions, what appears to be a mother and 2 cubs, who have been circulating along the Gold Camp Road and kind of the upper Stratton open space areas. There was also reports on mountain lion between Austin Bluffs and Palmer Park recently. So if you come across a mountain lion, it's best to make yourself big, loud, and vicious. They like easy meals. They like to eat a deer. They like to sneak up on deer. And if they sneak up on a person who is really loud and scary looking, they want nothing to do with you. They are too lazy for that. With an update on bears, there has been bear activity in Sunset Mesa open space. There has been a bear crossing through High Chaparral open space. So if you live on the east side of town, especially on the northeast side of town, you have an opportunity to come across a bear when you're on your hike. So the same rules apply. Make yourself big, scary, and back away. With a bear, you can even try talking softly to it. The number one thing you don't want to do with a bear is try to get close for a picture or trying to get close to ride it. Some people try to do that. Neither are good ideas. So back away safely and then tell your friends and family about your experience later.
Awesome. So noted. Thank you very much. I feel safer already. Well, if anybody has any other questions for pet safety, we'll certainly be taking questions right up to the end, and you can go ahead and put those in. In the meantime, I totally forgot some poll questions earlier and was reminded that we need to do them really quickly. So we are going to open up a big Q&A in a minute, but in the meantime, please take a minute to answer this question relating to parks and trail usage. How often do you use our parks? For more specifically, the first question is, how often did you use the parks before COVID-19? And then you can also just jump right down to the second question, then answer, how often do you use them now, post-COVID? We're really curious to see how this pandemic affected our members and the way that they're using our trails. If you're anything like us, we have increased our usage quite a bit. All of us on staff anyway. And we're wondering if that's true for everybody. I'm looking at the data, Looks like you guys are increasing your usage a little bit. That's good to know. And we're pretty mixed on whether people are impacted by COVID or not. So thanks for that information. That's something that's useful for us as we're moving forward and trying to figure out how often people are out using those trails based on this pandemic. We certainly feel like there's a lot more people out and about. So anyway, now is a great time. We said staff, we're gonna open up everybody on staff, and we're gonna stay on for another 15 minutes or so to answer absolutely any questions that you have about trails in general. If you're new to the area and you just have questions about Colorado hiking, our favorite spots, whatever, let us know. If you have questions about TOSC programs, Susan's on, she can chat about any of those. So we wanna hear them all. Erin, if you wanna start piling them up and letting us know what people want to know, what inquiring minds want to know.
All right, so first, Susan, an earlier question from the first few minutes of our time together today. Someone was asking for an update on the incline and what we can expect.
How shocking. I'm shocked. Quite frankly, everybody, that's the #1 question we are currently getting here at TOSC. I think I got 3 phone calls this morning. I did come into the office today, and it is the most common question. And people are calling from all over the country, from all over the world. I always ask, where are you calling from? And I do get calls, you know, from England. I've had calls from New York City. I get calls from Texas. So your question is a good one. It's a common one, and I wish I had a better answer. Right now, where things are at, the Manitou Springs City Council has been given a proposal by the Colorado Springs Parks Department. The Parks Department was willing to take on a reservation system and pay staff, improve bathrooms, improve hand washing facilities to try to address the COVID threat and offer this reservation system that would allow 45 people every 30 minutes to go up the incline. The Manitou Springs City Council did not support that idea at this time. We understand that they have been in ongoing talks in both executive session as well as open meeting, trying to come up with an alternative solution. So the good news is they seem to be working on it. The bad news is we don't have a date. We don't know that there's been any real progress. Organizationally, we have taken a stand that it should be opened. It is, as far as we know, the only trail in the state of Colorado that is currently closed. And with Bar Trail next to it open, and with Ute Regional Trail open, it just at this point seems to make more sense that a reservation system operated well could be the answer. We have asked that the reservation system be temporary. We know that there needs to be a longer, bigger conversation about that corridor. But as you know, Incline Friends is building that lower trail, working on eventual plans to build that upper trail. So it would seem to make sense to open it now and then come to some good public consensus about the long-term solution for that corridor. But thanks for the question. Wish I had a better answer. We're working on it. We're paying attention. And as soon as we have good news, we'll let you know.
Another question that we got too is, how do you get a hold of a friends group? And I'll take that one. You know, we have about 25 different friends groups across our region. Some have fantastic websites. Some have great Facebook pages. Some have Instagram, and a few have TikTok. They have great ways to get a hold of them. We do have a list of the friends groups on our page. That gives you an idea of who's out there. From there, you can click on them and the link will take you to their website. A few of the groups are a little harder to get a hold of. So if there's a particular group that you want to get a hold of that you just can't, get in touch with me and we'll figure it out. Another question that just came in, and I believe this will be a Susan question. What is the status of the acquisition of the quarry land?
Acquisition of the what?
Of the quarry land.
Of the quarry. Oh, okay, great, thanks. So that item was supposed to be on consent agenda. I think it was even yesterday, and I was off hiking all day. So at this point, it looks like it's going to go through. The majority, in fact, a unanimous vote by Colorado Springs City Council supported both the TOPS Working Committee and the Parks Advisory Board in their overwhelming support for the purchase with TOPS money of the quarry, as well as the Mountain Shadows piece that is that abuts both Blodgett open space as well as the U.S. Forest Service property. So it's going along. There are still a few little hoops. I think I'd call them little hoops that have to be managed. One of them is that the state of Colorado will be determining if the bond will be increased for the eventual remediation of the Pikeview quarry. And so that is being discussed in the next couple of weeks. I think that's kind of the final piece of the puzzle, but the deal does not depend on that piece alone. That could certainly affect it. So I would say things look very positive. Then the next step will be to have a master plan process and go forward, and Emily may even be able to speak in on that, but I think we'd have to put some TOPS money toward that master planning process in the budget, and then go forward with that. And it'll be wonderfully exciting to get a trailhead for the Waldo Canyon area, as well as expand essentially Blodgett open space into that other area. And then eventually we're hoping a world-class bike park. That's down the road, but some great things should come out of that deal. And it was great to get the kind of support we did from both the Parks Board as well as City Council. Fantastic.
Thanks, Susan. And we did just get another question. This is another one for you. What is the status on Waldo Canyon?
Waldo Canyon plan is finished. That has been submitted to State Trails. Wonderful process. 1,000 folks participated in various ways, whether filling out polls, going to public meetings. That plan is done. That was the first and most important thing that had to be done. Now that plan will help, will impact the Forest Service NEPA process. That's the, what does that acronym stand for again? National Environmental Protection Act. That's it. So anyway, what that essentially does, the NEPA process will then look at what's being proposed, and there's a public piece to that process, which now we've accomplished for all practical purposes. So now it's in the Forest Service hands to take that plan, look at what was accomplished, and then start to put the pieces together where we can start building trail. And you know, there will be help from groups like Rocky Mountain Field Institute, probably Medicine Wheel, others will participate in those conversations. But nevertheless, we completed an important box that is now checked to go forward, but it is now in the Forest Service hands. So if I were a betting person, I think we're gonna have trail to hike in the next 2 to 3 years. I really do, and maybe even sooner. But I think as far as we've taken it to this point, 2 to 3 years, there may be opening. Now, will we get the trailhead done in Black Canyon Quarry by then? That's a question mark. But I do think some real progress will be made in the next 2 or 3 years.
And I just see Cherie posted in the chat section, anybody that's interested in looking at that report, Cherie just posted that link there for you.
Thank you, that's great.
Erin, I did see a question that came in earlier that you answered privately, but I know that it's a popular space, so others might want to know, but someone was interested to know if there's going to be a friends group for the Austin Bluffs open space in the near future. Do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we are looking at a Friends of Austin Bluffs open space, and there'll be a coordinated effort between you know, people who are focused in on, or who are neighbors, and also with UCCS. So what we're looking at right now is that when the COVID restrictions loosen up a little more, so we can get more than a group of 10 people in a spot at once, we can move forward with having a friends group out in Austin Bluffs. Ranger Mark Tetro is aware of this. He's already dreaming up plans for different little cleanups and projects that are around the older regional park section. But keep your eyes open on our e-blast and on Facebook. In the upcoming weeks, we will start getting information out about the first meetings of the Friends of Austin Bluffs open space.
Awesome. Do we have any other open questions, Erin?
Yes, I got one question on the text line, and it's to Michael Rigney. And someone is interested in hearing about any of your current map projects you have going on.
Well, let me unmute first. Well, one of the things we're working on right now is some online maps that go into detail about our dog parks. That's one of the things that's kind of exciting right now. We should have a story map with detailed maps of all of our dog parks in the region up within the next couple of days, I hope. And then we're continuing to do work on planning for Ring the Peak. And so that's kind of what we've been focusing on recently.
Awesome. Mike's a map guru, and we love all the work he does. And if you've been lucky enough to see his work as he brings it out to outreach events and stuff, it's really cool and engaging.
Also, one thing I should mention is we've been doing a variety of different ways of looking at our get out, spread out maps as well. So we may have some new kinds of things on our website related to the get out, spread out maps as well, the relive.
Awesome. Anything else, Erin?
That was all.
Okay, well, I think that we nailed it. We're done right at 1 o'clock on the dot, as we had promised. We appreciate all of you joining us today. If there's anything that you want to hear more about in more detail in a future mixer or in a newsletter, Cherie's always wondering what you all want to know in those newsletters. Send us an email, anybody on staff, send us an email, put it in the Q&A right now, we'll capture it, but we want to hear from you. And we are looking forward to the day that we can see you all again in person and hear your voices again. But as always, we thank you for your continued support. We couldn't do what we do without you. And we're signing off. We hope we'll see you in the near future. Bye, everybody.